Hey there, Scoobies. Quickly recapping part 1. Buffy is having a crisis of fate when Spike brings in the Order of Taraka to take her out for good. Our pieces move into place with many in peril, including Angel, Xander, Cordelia, and meanwhile...
Who the hell are you?
I'm Kendra, the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy is face to face with Kendra, who claims to be a vampire slayer. The two girls fight over who the real slayer is, and Kendra is all but telling us what's happened.
Even if you kill me, another slayer will be sent to take me place.
Buffy gets her to back off long enough to go see Giles, and Kendra is clearly taking her slaying a little bit more seriously than Buffy. We cut to Willie's bar where Angel is still stuck, but now it's daytime, creating a ticking clock on the events. Back at the library, Giles is trying to figure out how Kendra was called. I won't spend a great deal of time on this, but if you want more on my thoughts on Kendra, then take a look at my character analysis. Every part of Kendra in this scene acts as the very opposite of Buffy. She's stoic, disciplined and focused. She's already mentioned duty, and announces herself to be the title rather than by name. Even when Willow enters, she acts like a guard dog.
Identify yourself.
Back off, Pink Ranger.
All this shows a more military style of upbringing. They managed to establish that Buffy technically died when Kendra was called.
I was only gone for a minute.
Kendra's reason for coming to Sunnydale is that there is a dark power about to arise, which would have us believe that she's talking about Drew. But, like in part 1, when Drew referenced them getting closer to the Slayer, meaning Kendra, not Buffy, I too think the warning signs aren't about Drew. I'm not even sure they're really even about Angelus. As bad as they both are, they're still just vampires. I believe this is foreshadowing for Akatla. Kendra slips up and informs them that she left Angel for dead. Luckily for him, Willie's there to help out his friends. For a price. Creepy bug guy chases Xander and Cordy until they take refuge in the basement, while Buffy and Kendra get to Willie's place to find Angel gone. Kendra wants to report back to Giles, and Buffy?
I do things my way.
No wonder you died.
Drew is sleeping when Spike comes in with a present. Drew asks to play with Angel until the ritual.
You've been a very bad daddy.
Back at school, Giles and Kendra are hitting it off, and Buffy's getting a little jealous.
Wait, handbook? What handbook? How come I don't have a handbook? Is there a t-shirt too?
Although it seems like Giles is more taken with Kendra, this is just because the idea of a slayer that studies and listens to her watcher is quite novel to him. Willow, always there for encouragement.
Yeah, but you see how they were vibing? Volume 6, ha ha ha!
Buffy, no one could replace you. You'll always be Giles' favorite.
Misinterprets Buffy's quite complex emotions at this point.
I wonder if it would be so bad being replaced.
This could feel like a whiplash moment, but it does make sense. Until now, she has been the one and only Slayer. Though frustrated by her destiny being written, at the same time, it does make her special. Kendra's existence diminishes this somewhat, and from her point of view, the other girl seems to be better at it too. But, on the other hand, no longer being the only one means that for the first time, she could consider a life beyond that of a Slayer.
I'd say, Kendra, you slay, I'm going to Disneyland.
Still stuck in the basement, Cordy and Xander start to fight, as normal. But this time, they're leading somewhere.
I hope these are my last moments. 3 more seconds with you and I'm gonna
what? Coward.
moron.
I hate you!
I hate you!
But before we talk about that, let's actually talk about the build-up, and why this happened. The Xander side of the equation is pretty simple. I mean, you've seen her, right? But if we're going to take it a step further, then how about this? Xander represents the heart, and can be selfish and impulsive. On top of that, Cordelia is a mirror to Buffy, the Buffy that would have been if she weren't the Slayer. So it stands to reason that Xander, who is infatuated with Buffy, would in turn be infatuated with Cordy. For the Cordy half of this equation, as we've already seen, Cordy seems to be attracted to the bad boys, and likes to be challenged. Despite not being a jock or one of the cool kids, Xander does challenge her, and he does so directly and unabashedly. And despite what his detractors say, Xander has courage and put himself in harm's way to help others, Cordy included.
I just wanted to thank you for saving my life.
As the music swells and the scene crescendos, the two come to their senses.
We so need to get out of here.
As passion is being represented here, so is it being represented back at school.
Hey.
Hey, your hair is brown.
Well, sometimes.
We've already seen that Oz doesn't follow the same trend of thinking among other adolescent boys, but here we get some insight into the way he thinks and interacts with the world around him.
Well, I sort of test well, which is cool. Except then it leads to jobs.
Oz represents the alternative take from the social norm. The work fair is designed to pigeonhole people's lives, to tell them what they're going to be. Oz sees testing and school as leading to jobs. His ambition lies in bettering himself, personal goals instead of societal goals.
Well, don't you have some ambition?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, E-flat diminished ninth.
Huh?
Well, the E-flat, it's doable, but it's that diminished ninth, you know. It's a man's chord.
The next member of the Order of Taraka takes her shot. Pun intended. Kendra turns up in time and... oh geez, not Jonathan. Back at the library, Buffy is debriefing Giles when Xander and Cordy return. As mentioned before, the Watchers Council act as a patriarchal organisation within the Buffyverse, almost certainly the personification of patriarchy. Kendra portrays the Slayer in a more pure form, what the Watchers would like from Buffy. This is shown in her conversation with Xander.
Thank you. I mean, sir, I will be of service.
Great. Good.
It's good to be a giver.
Buffy reveals that Angel was Drusilla's sire.
Man, that guy got Major Neck in his day.
Xander's jokes aside, this counts as more foreshadowing for the return of Angelus, as the references continue to build. Meanwhile, Drew is having her way with Angel. This is designed to be a torture scene where we, the viewer, are meant to feel for Angel during his trauma. We're so focused on the acts of torture that it's easy to miss Drew's lines.
My mommy ate lemons. Raw. Her favourite was custard. Brandy pears.
References are to her family and what they like to eat. These small details of what she lost.
They used to eat cake and eggs and honey. Until you came and ripped their throats out.
The scene is monstrous because Drew isn't the monster. Angel is. Back at the library, the Scoobs are trying to track Spike and the Order down, while Buffy and Kendra have a heart-to-heart. There is something sad about Kendra's way of life.
The things you do and have, I was taught, distract from my calling. Friends, school, even family.
Kendra's explanation of the call-in and what she has given up for it also means she is destined to die for it. A life without family or friends or personal relationships means Kendra doesn't hold worldly desires the same way Buffy does. Buffy's family and friends help her to fight harder, to keep going. She proves this by getting Kendra angry.
I would have kicked your butt in the end. And you know why? No imagination.
Really?
Xander comes in to break things up, and this gives Buffy the idea to go back to Willie. Drew is continuing her tirade.
Hey, Uncle.
When Spike comes in to break it up, Angel uses this opportunity to try and make Spike angry enough to stake him.
Sounds like your boy could use some pointers.
And there is something very interesting here. Angelus was known for being one of the worst vampires in the world, brutal not just for his physical torture of his victims, but also the mind games he played. We have already learnt that he was responsible for turning Drew insane before making her a vampire, so that the torment would be forever. I bring this up because Angel's mocking of Spike is reminiscent of Angelus. One of Spike's core tenets is that he wears his heart on his sleeve, and has shown a deep emotional connection with Drusilla. Angel knows this very thing, and that this would boil his blood. The lore around vampires and the soul can be sketchy at times. Angel and Angelus almost acting as independent of one another. Later, Angelus references that he is always in there, but maybe it's the other way round. When turned, vampires' personalities seem to remain much the same, just without the moral compass. Despite Angel feeling like a whole other being, the reason Angel feels so responsible is because these darker traits are in fact his own, only exasperated by Angelus. Buffy and Kendra play good Slayer bad Slayer with Willie.
Just hit him, Buffy!
Then get into an argument about duty, ending with them separating, with Buffy falling into a trap. Again, there is something being said here about logic over feeling. Spike is in the middle of the ritual when Willie brings Buffy to him.
You bring her here, now?
The party is crashed by Kendra, who brings along some backup, which, based on the time difference, pretty much proves that Kendra was in the right, in case there was any doubt. Looking to the Scoobs first, Giles and Willow take on the Red Shirt Vamps, while Xander and Cordy enact a plan based on what they have learnt about the Bugman. This is almost like a first date for them. As for Kendra and Buffy, this is where things get a little bit more interesting. Kendra is taking on Spike, which isn't going her way. Spike has taken on 2 Slayers at this point, his fighting style is unorthodox, and he doesn't play by the rules. Kendra's inability to stray from conformity puts her at a distinct disadvantage. Meanwhile, Buffy is up against the opposite issue, an assassin with actual training.
Switch!
This was likely the decision that changed the outcome of the fight. Kendra's shirt being torn makes her angry,
That's me favorite shirt! That's me only shirt!
giving her the edge she needs to win. As Buffy said,
You're good, but power alone isn't enough. A good fighter needs to know how to improvise, to go with the flow.
fighting with skill and training will only get you so far. Spike goes to make off with Drew and Buffy brings down the house, so to speak. I speak a lot about foreshadowing, and I mentioned earlier that I thought Kendra was really here to stop a Cathla. But fate is a funny thing. See how Buffy and Angel are looking into each other's eyes, like there is nothing else in the world, only them. Buffy is so blinded by love that now she can't see the flames all around her. Equally, her mind, heart and spirits are kept from her. It's fate then that Kendra comes to Sunnydale to stop the apocalypse that helps him up and out the door. Moving from doom and gloom to something a little lighter, Willow approaches Oz to see how his arm is. The twosome of cuteness and their whole relationship could be summed up in this conversation.
The monkey's the only cookie animal that gets to wear clothes, you know that? You have the sweetest smile I've ever seen.
And in the true duality of the show, we go from wholesome to toxic.
The word of this.
Like I want anyone to know.
Then it's a race.
Never happened.
Good.
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 Buffy escorts Kendra to her taxi and they have one last exchange.
You always do that.
Do what?
You talk about saying like it's a job. It's not. It's who you are.
The episode ends with the reveal of Drusilla, back to full strength, pulling Spike out of the rubble, bookending the mirror motif of the two-parter. As my final thoughts, Kendra represents the perfect slayer in the eyes of the Council, as she has been indoctrinated into a weapon for them to wield, and is subservient enough that she will never challenge them. We saw this in the way that she acts with Giles and her inability to look at Xander. As much as Giles, Willow and Xander are all representatives of Buffy, so too does Kendra represent an aspect of her, the dutiful slayer. Her job here is to remind Buffy that her calling isn't a shackle, but a part of who she is. Buffy's job is to remind us, the viewer, why she's special, throwing off the shackles of repression placed on her by that of the Council. What's My Line does a great job of setting us up for the second half of the season and where things start to get really interesting. We've played with a couple of cool concepts, like in Lie to Me and When She Was Bad. But from here on out, the stakes get real.